Internship, and that's what it's all about. We're going live on our Facebook and on our YouTube so we can capture this. Good morning and Happy New Year, Mr. Kleynhans.
Thank you, and the same to you, and also to the thousands of interns who now have to find placements for the next couple of months.
Sure, that's a very real thing. And I mean, you think of matriculants, you think of people who finished a diploma or a degree, and they need to get the experience so they can get a job.
Yes, and this becomes a problem every year. And it's part of government strategy that for some of those qualifications, they can't get the final piece of paper until they've done a 12 or an 18-month internship. So they've got to get placed. And a lot of them are running around right now trying to get those placements, and it's not always an easy task to do that. Now, we have for many years been part of this internship program. And our job really as skills development officers, when we take on these interns, is to take what is book knowledge and to turn it into practical skills. Because what our education system tends to do, it tries to turn the students into tape recorders. So they learn and they repeat, and they learn and they repeat. That doesn't mean they know what they're doing. And the internship is when they now get a chance of using that knowledge in a practical way and developing an understanding of how to use that knowledge. And in some cases, sadly, that's when they discover they've done the wrong subjects. And this is not really what they want to do for the rest of their lives. And that's when often you're going to find they're saying, well, I've got half of the subjects I enjoy doing. I'm going to have to go and get one or two more subjects because I want to specialize in a slightly different area. So what I thought I would do is to tell you about some of those people who have passed over our desks over the last 30 odd years. And one was a mother who came to us in her 30s. And she fell pregnant while she was in high school, and she left to have her baby. And then once the baby was born, she decided not to go back to school because she now had to look after her child. And the only job she could get was that as a domestic worker. So she spent a couple of years doing domestic work. She married the father of the child, and they agreed that he would support the family while she did night classes and got her matric. Then she went to the local FET college and got her diploma in financial management. She graduated, and now she had to go and find an internship, but by now she was in her early 30s. And nobody wanted an intern in their early 30s. They wanted an intern 20s. And I've never been one who likes rules that don't make any sense. And so when somebody in desperation said, do you want to interview her and just check it out, we decided to take her on, and we gave her a chance. Now, what we realized is that a person in their 30s isn't going to break up with their boyfriend every weekend.
Which is a good thing.
Which is a good thing. So that was one of the advantage. She had already had some kind of life experience, and she therefore had already learned things that the other interns hadn't learned. And with the group of interns we had, she could also become the mother, where they could come and talk to about things that they would not necessarily want to talk to their employers about. But at the end of her internship, she had not only shown her skills, she was able to get a job within the government. And she then developed her skill, developed her further education, and got really a good position later. Now, she didn't allow a mistake that she'd made very early on in her life to limit the rest of her life. And this is where the internship can have other effects, which become good effects, and certainly with her was a good example. Another intern came to us with an HR qualification, human resources. Now, I said sometimes people discover they've got the wrong training, and human resources is one of those dead-end jobs, because you're trained in human resources as if you're going to work for a multinational company. And there are very few multinational jobs available, because the average employer employs 2 or 3 people, and they're not going to have an HR department. And so a lot of these people who then look for internships can't get the internships that they need, and it then becomes a major problem. And one of those people came to us with that as a problem. Now, we are happy to take that on because our clients do have HR problems. And so we were able to provide that. But we also then made it clear what it was that she needed to look at for further education purposes. At the end of her internship, she was able to develop new skills. She was able to get new qualifications. And today she works for a major, significant financial institution where she has now a significant job. And she's able to deal with clients simply because of the skills that she'd learned while she was doing her internship, as well as some of the other skills she picked up immediately after her internship. So it's made a good difference in her life. And then this last week, and this was the trigger for my story today, 2 years ago, we bid goodbye to one of our best interns that we've had for many years. She was also a single mom, and I was so struck by the way she had applied her learnings that I asked her to keep contact, and that's exactly what she did. And she contacted me a couple of weeks ago and said she'd found a home that she wanted to buy, and the home was costing her around 697,000 rand. But because of what we had taught our clients, she realized you don't just take the first offer. So she looked at what the house had been sold for, that the present owner had paid. She looked at demand on the pricing for that area. She looked at how long that house had been on the market. So she went to the owner and said, I will offer you 620,000. So it's a 70,000. The offer was accepted the same day. She then knew, because of what I told her many times before, that she also qualified for a first-time homeowners. And that gave her another 47,000 rand tax-free. So now the price of the house had dropped to 570,000 rand. So with that, she also realized that this house, why she had chosen it, it was across the road from the school where her daughter was going to go to. And this meant that her taxi fares, getting the daughter to and from school, didn't have to be paid anymore. And that was going to drop her transport costs by a couple of hundred a month. So all of that kind of came together. But because she also learned that every client has to have an emergency fund, and she had built an emergency fund, she had enough money to pay for all the legal fees to buying the house and enough to put another 10% down on the house.
Wow.
So by the time she moves in, she will be able to finish paying that house in under 10 years.
Sure, that's brilliant.
So she has learned what she has learned by watching how we work with clients. She has applied that, and she is well on her way to getting there. So internship is important, and if you find the right place to do your internship, it can make a difference. And certainly clients have learned that finances is about behavioral change. And there are not many things that government does that I think is right, but this is one of those, and it can make a difference to the future careers of people who've put a lot of effort and a lot of money into getting their education right.
Sure, that is brilliant, Nico. And I want to add, the business and the work situation for internships is really important and so helpful. But there are a lot of people that are saying, but what can I do? I don't own a business. I'm not part of those people that make those kind of decisions. You too can make a difference. There
Yes.
are mentorship programs
Yes.
where men can mentor young gentlemen and ladies can mentor young ladies. And it's a good environment for you to learn and grow, but for you also to help the next generation.
Absolutely. And in our case, every intern, by the time they leave, they've got another 7 certificates.
Sure.
Because there are plenty of online institutions and those certificates are recognized.
Yeah.
And because they're studying together, they write the exams together and they get recognized. They get their photographs, they get their certificates. And so it encourages an ongoing learning.
That's it.
And it just gives them a better chance. So they're not at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah.
They can move ahead. And that's what's critical for the future of these young people.
So critical. Nico, thank you so much for your time. Always great to chat to you. Really appreciate it.